Good afternoon, honorable guests, distinguished delegates, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure for me to be here today in the presence of so many leaders from the private sector, along with my colleagues from government and friends from the international community. I am glad to be part of this important gathering to discuss and share with the world's business community on the facts of Somalia. The facts are that Somalia, despite over 2 decades of civil strife, still is the 12th largest exporter of high-quality sesame seeds in the world. The facts are that Somalia has begun once again exporting the world-famous Somali banana, which was one of the biggest cash crops of our nation in the 70s and 80s. The facts are that Somalia in 2014 exported a record 5 million heads of livestock to market in the Gulf of Arabia thanks to heavy investment in animal disease prevention backed by the European Union and the famous entrepreneurial vigor of Somali business community. Somalia is the second largest exporter of sheep and goats and is the #1 exporter of camels in the world, with camel number estimated at 7.2 million. Somalia is also far the largest producer of camel milk in the world. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are now breaking into non-traditional markets such as Malaysia and Egypt. With large contracts signed, we hope to see a doubling of current camel meat exports to a value of 378 million in 2017. People in these new markets are starting to demand the unique taste of Somali livestock as a result of organic methods used by Somali herders. Somalia currently has 3.5 million hectares of land under rain-fed and irrigated agriculture, but also has 6.7 million hectares of virgin land available for sustainable agriculture, not to mention the blessing of longest coastline in Africa that has the potential to yield 1.8 million tons of fish annually. The above figures will give the participants of this meeting a glimpse of potential of Somalia. Somalia's unique location could become the gateway to Africa with an excellent location facing the large market of the Arabian Peninsula and Gulf states, as well as massive and expanding markets of the Southeast Asia. These great facts are being complemented by the work being done in other areas of governance. There is no doubt that Somalia is firmly on the path to peace and prosperity. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we have a new inclusive government, and one of our stated main tasks is to develop our national assets, our long coastline and fishing industries, our entrepreneurial and dynamic private sector, and the resilience of our people. We have taken steps in the short term to improve administrative capabilities by modernizing tax collection and registering taxpayers. We also revisit tax legislations, broaden the tax base, and invest in robust system in the medium to long term. These remain at the top of our priority, and it is the only path that will lead to national delivery of public goods such as healthcare and education. We have made progress to the legislative framework, which is the key prerequisites for an enabling environment. Several pieces of legislation have been passed by the Parliament, including the Foreign Investment Law, Anti-Money Laundering, and the Procurement Bill. We remain committed to addressing corruption, passing the necessary bill for establishing the Anti-Corruption Commission and implementing an open government initiative. We have given specific focus to reforming expenditure management of the security sector, and it continues to make up a large percentage of our budget, beginning with the automation of payroll for security forces. We have started to look beyond the center, beyond a national fiscal framework that will allow for consolidation and the resource sharing. This addresses the inequality of access to resources among the federal member states. Although this will require complex political agreements, and building this arrangement will take time, there are steps we are taking today and that all the Somali stakeholders are committed to. And as we are here today to talk about a partnership between public and private sector, I would like to acknowledge and thank the private sector for all that it has done for their country. The capabilities of Somali businessmen and women is recognized around the world. In the essence of government and in times of great difficulty, the private sector has developed roads, electricity, provided banking system, security services, and developed a world-class telecommunication system. In fact, 3.7% GDP growth between 2012 and 2014 was driven by private sector-led growth in the service industry. The private sector contributes more than 90% of Somalia's GDP. The country needs a healthy, vibrant private sector to create jobs and prosperity for our young people. They are the engine of our economy. Ladies and gentlemen, our vulnerability to the terrible drought affected so many of our people shows how much we have to do. With a better planning, with a stronger growth, with improved security, we know that we could minimize the impact of these shocks and recover from natural and man-made hazards. This includes the diversification of our economy and increasing the skill set of our people. And for this to happen, change must be taking place. Changes is the way we manage our economy, work together and work with development partners. We want to strike a new kind of partnership which moves us forward and enables us to grow. The government will step up to provide the right governance environment for the private sector to grow and provide jobs to our people. In turn, we need our private sector to play their part, to support our effort to regulate and tax fairly, to open the country up to healthy competition while safeguarding within reason and international practices that nascent Somali enterprise in the economy, to help us improve compliance with regulation and the rule of law, and to work with us to grow their sector and provide opportunities for young people. That's why this Somali public-private dialogue is so important for our nation, to structure a partnership between government and private sector that will be able the basics for our prosperity and peaceful future. My administration will ensure concrete and tangible steps are taken to improve the business environment. I want to see growth in the priority sector that will underpin economic growth, such as energy and finance. In turn, my government will continue to support the growth of our traditional sectors, such as agriculture, fisheries, and livestock. That growth will enable the development of our private sector to integrate with the global markets and become global leaders abroad as well as at home. As a result, I wanted to see more generated revenue. A growing economy should lead to a stronger tax base and a government more capable of providing the public service and security that the country needs. The new administration is working with IMF and the World Bank on the necessary reform to public finance, transparency, and increased revenue generation for services. In conclusion, too many of our youth are without hope for their future. Many of them decide to leave, risking an uncertainty and dangerous journey for the promise of better life. Some of them turn to conflicts. I want something better for our sons and daughters. We are a young country. Let economic growth turn our youth into assets to develop Somalia and provide for them the hope and aspiration of better life in their own country. Over the next hour or so, let's hear about the challenges and also the opportunities for growth. Let's also hear about how our development partners can assist us. But in particular, let's focus on what we can achieve together and how we can work together and grow Somalia. And with that, I wish you a very successful discussion and looking forward to hear tangible outcome. And thank you.